is going on with Hugh Freeze, Drew? Any clue as to what is happening at Auburn with this team? My goodness, it feels like a bounce back spot for Georgia, but something tells me you may not be looking that way.
Well, Joe, I mean, anytime you start losing football games in the SEC, you're going to be put on the hot seat a little bit. So, especially at Auburn here, if they can fire Gus Malzahn after taking a team to the national championship and then just go to a 6-6 bowl game, they're going to fire anyone. So I'm not saying I agree with it, but that is life as an SEC head coach. You bring up day drinking. Talk about some day drinking. How about Athens, Georgia for the Battle of Brothers here, Deep South's oldest rivalry. I know from personal experience, those guys like to get after it. And we're seeing Georgia here, Joe, 23, 24-point home favorites, 52 being the total. And first off, we got to talk about the Auburn side of things. Auburn turnover Tigers, 15 turnovers through 5 games, 9 interceptions. If they stop throwing it to the other team, they actually might be pretty good here, Joe. If you look at the yards per play margin, they actually average more yards per play than Georgia, 2.8 plus to Georgia, just +2. And Georgia playing Alabama last week, obviously, a tough one going down there. But even more importantly here, Joe, something I like to look at in college football is last 3 weeks, how each team is being priced. Auburn has not lost by more than 10 points this season. Georgia, look at their last 3 games. They have dropped all 3 against the spread by 40 points ATS, meaning they've been overpriced by 40 points. To this point in the season, that's a situation I can't bet on a team. Now, look, is Georgia the better overall team? Yes. But are they 24 points better to a team that, hey, if they stop turning the ball over, really wouldn't be that bad? Hey, this is coming from an Auburn alumni, but overall, Joe, I actually think the dog here plus the points is worth a look. This is a surprising one. Keep in mind, it's not a tough trip. Athens and Auburn are 2 of the closest schools in the SEC. They play each other every year. There is going to be a lot of Auburn faithful there. I think the dog is barking a little bit, at least to stay within the number, Joe. So I would look towards Auburn plus a bunch of points here.
Yeah, it's interesting, too, coming out of that game. It's kind of uncharted territory for Georgia, right? Because that game against Alabama every year is usually – it's pretty taxing on them. I think 12-2 straight up, 8-6 against the spread after facing Alabama since 1990, 6-0 straight up at home. But covering that kind of number after such a grueling game and a big comeback seems, I'm with you, Drew, a bit excessive, doesn't it? I mean, if Alabama doesn't take a little something out of Georgia, not to mention, when the hell was the last time Georgia in a regular season had to bounce back after anything in a regular season? So I'm with you, man. It feels like a ton of points, no?
Yeah, it really does, Joe. And actually, I got a good stat here from the Gold Sheet. This week, guys, the Gold Sheet, they were actually throwing out a bunch of gems. Not sure if you got a chance to read it, Joe, but it's only $5 today, guys, on wagertalk.com. Here's the trend. Since 2016, top 10 teams that lost as a favorite have gone 69-88. That's just 43% against the spread the following week. That's since 2016 in college football, FBS level. So that is a trend also pointing towards the big dog here in the Auburn Tigers.